Alrighty, here in the country I was born in, we do have fuse boxes. They're kind of phasing them out, but they still have them. And these orange ones are 20 amps. The blue ones are 15 amps. You can put them anywhere you want. The 15s or the 20s in any one of the screw-in sockets here. We use a 14 American wire gauge on 15 amps, 12 American wire gauge on 20 amps, 10 American wire gauge on 30 amps. Black is live, white is neutral, the bare, the green is the ground. Red and blue are also live colors. However, you may find white live in a 220-240 volt circuit where the appliance does not require a neutral, or a 110-120 volt circuit on a switch loop. So we'll put this fuse box together. We have our two live wires coming in, bringing in 240. We have our neutral up here. And I'll show you how to wire the fuse box. So since this is a main box, all our neutrals and grounds can be together on the same bus bar. This is 14 gauge wire. Get all the paper out of here. To shut this off, you can pull this out. You'll see your 260 amp main fuses in here. Put it in like this, and it'll be in the off position. Okay, now we don't have any power down here. Okay, so we'll start with our neutral bar and ground bar. So we'll get all our wires out of the way here. And we'll start putting our ground wires on the ground bar. So we'll open our top one up here. Bring our ground wire up. We'll push it back here, and we'll bend it over to where it's going to go to our screw here. And I'll see where we got to start making our loop. You always put your wire around the screw, the direction that your screw turns. So I'll cut it about right here. I like to put one wire to a terminal. So it can be a little tricky in this tight spot here. Close the loop the direction your screw turns. And I push back on it so that the wire stays under the screw head all the way around. So I'll just tighten it up here. Okay, now we can get our white wire on that screw here. Another thing, I'm not going to cut it. You can go up and make a service loop up here and come down. So we'll cut it right here. So I did it one way without a service loop, and this one we're doing with a service loop. And we'll do the rest with the service loop. So you make your loop the direction your screw is going to turn. Because you put it on the opposite way, when you tighten the screw, we'll just open the loop of the screw up. So you close your loop the direction your screw turns there. And we'll just tighten it up. And we'll push our wire back. Okay, we have our black wire, which is another live wire. We'll take our ground wire. We'll come up. Make our service loop, come down, and we'll go to this one right here. We'll make our and we'll cut our wire. Make our loop the direction our screw turns. Close our loop the direction our screw turns. And I'll push back on it so it stays under the screw head all the way around. And we'll push it back, get it out of our way here. Okay, we'll bring our other, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 more screws, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wires we have to put in here. So you know what we can do? We can double, what we might have to do is double some wires on our screws, the ground wires, and what we're going to do is use a washer. And we can put a washer between the two wires. And we put one wire underneath and one on top. Okay, so we can bring another ground wire up here. Push it back, get it all the way over here, bring it up, and we'll come back down and we'll make our loop right here. And get our wire on top of the washer here. Close our loop the direction our screw turns. I hate flathead screwdrivers. I want to keep our wires going in evenly onto our screw here. So I can hold it with our pliers like this. Make sure it's nice, tight. And we'll push it back out of our way here. Okay, we have another ground wire down here we can double, so we'll take our screw out. And we'll put our washer in here, so we have one wire on top of the washer, one on the bottom of the washer. So we put it back in. We'll bring our other ground wire up, push it in the back like this, and we'll bring it up, and we'll come over right here. Make our loop the direction our screw turns, and we'll get it under our screw head here. direction our screw turns. And I'll tighten it. So we have 1, 2, 3 more screws. 1, 2, 3, 4 more wires. We're going to have to double some wires. We're going to have to put a white and a ground on the same screw too. But it's all tied together. It's a main box. So you can put the ground and the neutral together. So we'll push our ground wire to the back here like this. Push it down. Bring it over. Open up our screw here. Put our washer in here. Around our screw direction, our screw turns. We come around the screw all the way, and I'll push our washer back so we put our wire on top. Make our loop the direction our screw turns. We'll put it in under our screw head here. Close our loop the direction our screw turns. And tighten it up nice and snug. And we can push our service loop up. Want it to be nice and even up into here like that. Now you can push it up under the other wires here just to make it neater. And then nice and neat back in here, get them out of our way. Now we have this white wire and this white wire, and we got to get them on that screw right there. So we'll take our screw out. We'll put our washer on the screws. We put our two wires between the washer. Get it started, get a couple turns in here. So we'll bring our wire up. We'll get in the back here. And this one up. We'll keep them the same length so we have our loop about the same size here. You always make your loop the direction your screw turns. Get our wire up under the washer there, behind the washer. Close our loop the direction our screw turns. And we'll make a loop on this one. We'll put on top of the washer. Make sure we don't get any insulation pinched under our screw head there. Close our loop. And we'll get over here to where it's going straight in there. Nice and tight. And now we'll put our service loops up here, and we'll just push them back out of our way here. Back here so it's all nice and neat. Now we are down to one more ground wire and one more neutral wire. So this is for the dryer here, so we will take this neutral wire, push it back, and we can put it under this terminal right here. And we'll strip it with our number 10 hole. Open this up, and we can get our one wire in under one on the bottom one here. These terminals are for your number 8s and number 10s and number 6s. Make sure insulation's not caught. We'll tighten it up. We'll just push our white wire back out of the way. And now we'll bring our last ground wire over. We'll push it down to the bottom here, bring it around, get it right back into our corner here so it's nice and neat. We'll bring it up. And we can put it under this terminal right here if we want. But I'll put it up on the screw since it's number 12. And I'll bring it up right here. If it was a number 10, I'd put it down on the lug. So we'll make our loop the direction our screw turns. Close our loop the direction our screw turns. My parents have the same fuse box in their house, but theirs is a Wadsworth. Okay, so these are your pullouts. You can put 20s or 30s in here. We have 20s in here because this is for an air conditioner. And we have it on. We'll put it in the off there. And we'll go get some red tape. Okay, when you have a white wire that's going to be live, you should remark it with either red or blue tape. But in our house, I would use red because blue is used on the 208 service. So we'll mark our red wire, our white wire, live with some red tape here. Sometimes you have to go through a lot of this red tape in the quartz system. So there we go. We mark this white wire live. So we can bring it down to our bottom here. Bring it over, bring it up. Or we can put it up over here. We can bring it up over here. So we put our wire under the terminal here. So I'll make sure our insulation's up to the bottom of our terminal here. Make sure our insulation's not caught under our terminal, then we'll just tighten it right down. Make sure our copper is just a little bit showing behind there. Now we'll get our black wire, we'll bring it down, come over, and we'll make sure the copper is under the terminal all the way and our insulation's not pinched. We'll make sure it's in there nice and straight. Okay, we'll put this in the off position. These are 30 amp fuses. This is for an electric dryer, or it could be for a welder. It doesn't matter what side you put the red and black on. Bring our black one up. Make sure we get our wire all the way up into our terminal and our insulation is not pinched under the pressure plate. We'll make sure it's nice and tight. And we'll just push it back in, get it out of our way here. And we'll bring our red wire down and we'll bring it up where we're going to go in right here. I didn't push very hard on the wire because you don't want to split the insulation open. Make sure it's nice and tight. We see just a little copper in there. So there's our red and black. So now we can start wiring our branch circuits. Now this is number 12. So we have these two fuses are on one leg of the 240. These two circuits are on the other leg of the 240. And the way we're saving room on our neutral bars, we used multi-wire branch circuits to save terminals in our neutral bars. So what we're going to do is we're going to put one here and one here. This is number 12. So you match it up with 20 amps. So we'll put our reds on this side and blacks on that side just for cosmetics. So we'll bring it up. We'll come over across the middle. And we'll put our red over here. Now you don't have to put the wire around the screw on this one. It slides down in the side like that. You just tighten it up. It has a little stopper here so you can't really put it around the screw. So there's the red on one leg of the 240. Now we're going to put our black over here on this leg of the 240. So this is number 12. And you put number 12 on a 20 amp fuse. So this one is on the opposite leg of the 240. we'll get it tucked under here, make sure insulation is not cut under the screw head and our copper is all the way through. So there it is. Okay, now here is our 15 amp circuits. We could put our two 15 amp fuses down here and put our 20s up above, or you can put them up here, but I'll put them down here. So we'll bring our black one up, bend it over here, we'll bring it over, and we'll bring it down about right here. We get in our little slot there and we'll just snug it up, make sure our copper is all the way down through there. And our wire look nice and neat here. And we'll bring our red wire, push it back, bend it over, and we'll bend it down right here. Make sure it's nice and tight. Just let it lay, don't get frustrated. Okay, we push our wires back. So we have our two 20s in here for our 20 amp circuits. We'll take two 15s out of here. And we can put them down here. And that's our two 15 amp circuits. So our multi-wire branch circuits are down here on the bottom. And now we have two single circuits that are, they each have their own neutral. And we'll put one on this leg of the 240 and the other on this leg of the 240. We'll bring it down, we'll bring it over right here. This is 14 on a 15 amp fuse, so we'll bring it up. Get up under our terminal here. Make sure insulation's not pinched. Get nice and neat like that there. And I'll bring our other black one down. Now this is a number 12, so we can put a 20 amp fuse on this one. So we'll take our 15 out of here. We'll put our 20 up here. Make sure our copper is under our screw head all the way around. push it back in here all the way. Get back into our box, get it all nice and neat here. Okay, I'll just go through and make sure all our terminals are tight. And these are live up here, and I don't want to touch those. Now this up here for the stove would hook up the same as this down here, but it would be with a number 6 wire, which is heavier, and it would still be hooked up the same way, and the neutral from the stove will go in the bottom lug here, or the top one over here. So now I'll explain to you about the fuses that we have here. This is a yellow fuse. They come in 15, 20, and 30, but this happens to be a 30, so you have to look at the number on the side where it says amps. And this is a 30, you'd use with number 10 wire. This is a 20, and this is orange on the inside. And this would be used with number 12 American wire gauge wire. This is blue, and that is usually a 15 amp fuse. And you'd use this with 14 American wire gauge. This one is green, and this one you'd use with number 10 wire, and it's a 30 amp fuse. These are type S fuses. They also come in 15, 20, and 30. I don't happen to have a 30. But the thread bases are different on the different amperage ratings, so you can only put the right size fuse to match the right size wire. And I will show you the backs of these. So if you look closely, you can see how they are threaded differently. So you put your adapter in, which has a little barb on it so it locks it in place. Then you screw this type of fuse in. So there's our fuse box all wired. We have 2 extra screw-in fuses. So there's some of our neutral bar there and our wiring into the fuses. There's the 240, 220 volt circuits. There's our neutral bar. Alrighty, so thanks for watching. That is how to wire a fuse box here in the country I was born in. We always use 14 American wire gauge on 15 amps, which is for lighting and outlets. 12 American wire gauge on 20 amps, which is for lighting and outlets, but 12 is required in the kitchen. And we use number 10 American wire gauge on 30 amps. So I'll get the meter out and I'll show you the how we have 110, 120, and how we have 220 and 240. Okay, so we'll pull this, turn this around. We'll put it in, turning it on, and we will touch 2 legs, and we have 208 volts, but we have a lower voltage out here in the country a little bit. And I'll turn the back light on. Okay, so we'll get up here under our neutral terminal, And we'll touch one side of our 240, 122. Now I'll check the other side. Same thing, we have 122. So when you have 110, 120, you just use one leg of the 240 coming in to the neutral for your 120. But if you have something that's 220, 240, you'll use both legs of this here, and you'll have 240, and then sometimes the appliance will require a neutral and sometimes it doesn't.